If there's one genre I'd love to see make a serious comeback, it's the historical epic. Swords and Sandals.
Swords and Sandals 字面意思是刀剑与凉鞋，但其实是在讲古希列罗马那种史诗大片，那种大家穿凉鞋、拿刀剑杀来杀去的电影。
Gods and monsters, battles and adventures, legendary warriors and terrifying villains. I mean, Hollywood's flirted with the idea from time to time over the past couple of decades, some more successful than others. But it seems like this year, things might finally be changing. Christopher Nolan has turned his gigantic quantum space brain away from discovering the secrets of the universe and assembled one of the biggest all-star casts in modern Hollywood for The Odyssey, a retelling of Homer's epic saga about the Greek king Odysseus and his decade-long journey to get home to his family after fighting in the Trojan Wars for another 10 years before that. Meanwhile, his wife has to keep the home fires burning and contend with the unwanted advances of men who want the crown.
第一次世界大战时期的英国爱国歌曲 Keep the Home Fires Burning， 歌词是期盼前方作战的士兵能平安归来，而留守的家人会持续点燃家中的炉火，等待。
It's actually kind of hilarious when you look at all this on a map, because a journey from Troy to Ithaca is only like 500 miles by sea, and it should have taken him a couple of weeks. Anyway, stories don't get much more epic than the Odyssey. It truly is one of the great adventures in human history, blending together mythology, religion, monsters, and the unbreakable determination of the human spirit. And bringing it to life on screen is a challenge that will strain the very limits of modern filmmaking. But now that I've seen the trailer and I've considered the artistic vision behind this movie, I have to say my reaction was... meh. I don't know what it is, man. There's just something about this movie that doesn't quite stir anything in me, which is pretty surprising because in theory at least it's got all the ingredients for success. The kind of source material that's practically tailor-made for epic Hollywood filmmaking, the kind of all-star cast that only comes together once in a generation, and a director with a, mostly, good track record as a filmmaker.
Tailor 裁缝师 made 制作，合在一起就是裁缝师量身定做的。
So why the does it feel so bland? Let's take a closer look at those key elements again, shall we? First of all, there's the source material. The problem is that the Odyssey was originally written in ancient Greek, meaning that it has to be translated into English for it to be legible. And what kind of story you ultimately get very much depends on which translated version you read. In this case,
I feel like this doesn't matter. Like, I mean, you have obviously the high points, there's the sirens, there's like the witch, there's the Cyclops, there's like him fighting the suitors. Like, I mean, there's commonalities.
For Nolan has publicly stated that he's a big fan of the 2017 adaptation of The Odyssey, which was translated from Greek by British writer Emily Wilson.
奥德赛的英文译本大概有60种以上。Emily Wilson 的2017版很有名，因为它是第一个由女性完成的完整英文翻译版。
Why exactly does that matter? Well, because Emily Wilson just so happens to be a hardcore progressive feminist who specifically set out to reimagine Homer's text through a female-coded, gender-critical, postmodernist lens, basically stretching the very limits of the original text to bend it around modern sensibilities. It's the same kind of creeping, cloying, well, I think what he really meant to say here was bullshit that gave us 2026's Animal Farm, a story that went from a parable about the Russian Revolution to a ridiculous, shallow, capitalism bad piece of Hollywood slop. That is the version we're likely to get here with all its gender identity navel-gazing, and if that doesn't raise a few red flags, then let's take a closer look at that all-star cast, shall we? Now, Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway are solid enough as the two leads, at least. I mean, if I was to be super critical, I'd say that Hathaway hasn't done anything particularly significant since. I can't say I'm ever particularly excited by an Anne Hathaway project, but holy shit, is she making a comeback this year. In 2026 alone, she's in 5 separate movie projects, one of which is playing in the cinemas right now. But speaking of overexposed actors that we could all use a break from, Zendaya is in this movie as Athena, the goddess of wisdom. Holy man, this girl's become the female equivalent of Pedro Pascal. She is just everywhere all of a sudden. I have never seen a single Zendaya performance in my life and thought, oh my god, she absolutely carried this movie.
I think she was fine in Dune, but like, She was like a side character. It's like whenever she was on the screen, you knew that it was okay to look at your phone because nothing important was going to happen.
Sidekick 就是主角旁边的那个，像是蝙蝠侠旁边的罗宾，周星驰旁边的吴孟达。有时候 sidekick 比主角还红。
Elliot Page is also in this movie. As what exactly? I don't know, a drummer boy maybe? Page is like 5 feet tall and weighs 90 pounds soaking wet, so I don't really see how they're going to fit in amongst all those big Greek soldiers and terrifying monsters. Lupita Nyong'o is widely rumored to be playing the Greek princess Helen of Troy.
特洛伊的海伦是希腊神话中被称为世上最美的女人，作为天神宙斯与斯巴达王后勒达之女，因绝世美貌而引发了长达10年的特洛伊战争。有个很有名的说法叫 The face that launched 1,000 ships， 一张能发动1000艘船艦的脸，就是在讲海伦。
Which it turns out to be true would make about as much sense as Papa Asuido playing Severus Snape, but hey, what can I say?
It's Hollywood, baby.
There's no way that's going to happen. I will not believe it until I see it because that is so ridiculous and silly. Why would you ever do that?
The thing that stood out for me about the entire cast in this trailer was just how bland and mundane they all look and sound. Every time I saw one of them, all I thought was, oh yeah, there's Robert Pattinson, there's Charlize Theron, there's Tom Holland. Where are the larger-than-life mythical figures of legend that should be leaping from the pages of Homer's epic to amaze us all?
I do think that, I mean, the Agamemnon with like his armor and everything, I think that absolutely farms aura.
Feels weirdly subdued and underwhelming, and a big part of that decision is to have them speak with American accents using modern terminology.
My dad is coming home.
There's a reason movies like this traditionally use theatrical English and formalized language for their dialogue. It gives them a sense of grandeur, seriousness, and dramatic weight that naturally
He's right about this. It's true.
lend itself.
I think like I noticed this a lot watching Rings of Power versus watching Lord of the Rings. Man, that was a really big difference.
To the epic story they're trying to tell. Having your actors talk like they just walked in off the street in downtown LA just feels weirdly lazy and immersion breaking.
本来你看电影看得很投入，突然某个东西让你意识到这是在演戏，然后你就瞬间出戏了。
This all brings me back to the man at the center of all of this. Christopher Nolan, the director and writer. He's given us some fascinating films to chew over in his time. The guy can also be his own worst enemy at times. He's developed a reputation as a clinical, intellectual, and slightly sterile kind of director, a master of ideas who can't seem to wrap his head around simple humanity. Man definitely has a niche, but character-driven historical epics don't seem to be it. From the casting, to the dialogue, to the bleak, washed-out cinematography, I can't shake the feeling that he just isn't the right man to direct a movie like this. I mean, shit, maybe I'm totally wrong on this one. Maybe The Odyssey will be the crowning achievement in Nolan's career and rake in more money than Avatar. Or maybe it'll turn out to be his own personal albatross.
英国诗人科勒律治的诗 The Rime of the Ancient Mariner， 一个水手杀了一只信天翁，信天翁死后厄运降临，为了惩罚他，其余水手强迫他将死去的信天翁挂在脖子上，作为他犯下罪孽的沉重枷锁。 An albatross around your neck 就是一个甩不掉的沉重负担。
Time, as always, will tell, but I'll be interested to see how it pans out one way or the other. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
I think the movie will be successful. Like, I'll link you guys the video. It's a Critical Drinker video. I watch them all the time. Soon you start seeing OnlyFans models playing these roles. Good. I mean, you should have. Like, I've got a list of like my top 250 OnlyFans models and Instagram girls that I think should play Helen of Troy. Christopher Nolan could just DM me and I can give him my list. Can we get the list? Yeah, just look at my following. Helen of Troy was regarded for being ridiculously, insanely beautiful, and they started an entire war over her. If you put a person inside of that role that does not embody conventional beauty standards, you're doing it for a political and a social reason. That's the reason why. If you're not seeing that, you're intentionally trying not to. That's just the way it is.
影片结束了，帮大家复习一下今天学的英文。Keep the home fires burning， 无后顾之忧，留守家园。Tailor-made， 量身打造的。Sidekick， 跟班配角。Immersion breaking， 破坏沉浸感，让人出戏。Albatross， 信天翁。Albatross around your neck， 沉重的负担。